Hello, this video will support with using colourful semantics in your lessons to support pupils with their writing. Colourful semantics is a fantastic approach to help with sentence structure and supporting children to use and identify nouns, adjectives and verbs. And it really allows children to build on their expressive language skills. As you can see here, there are symbols and colour codes for key elements in a piece of text. So children will use the colour codes to support them to structure a sentence. To support with embedding colourful semantics as a whole class approach, my biggest advice will be to begin with the presentations you are presenting to the classroom. So as you can see here, on the top of my page there's an orange bar, and on the right hand side there is the symbol for who. So the children begin to understand that the questions are related to the colour codes. Naturally, when we introduce a new piece of text, we're always asking who questions. So this will be a really supportive way to introduce the colour codes and the symbols for pupils. Here's another example. As you flip through the slides, you can include the symbols and the colour codes on the top right hand corner so that the children begin to see the association. The pupils can look at the colour code and know where to look on their key vocabulary lists that you have present as well. When asking questions about a given text, using the colour codes as part of your questions will really support your children to understand what you are asking them and where to look to find the answer. So you can have the symbols ready-made on the screen so that they know that they need to look at the orange symbols to answer who questions and to look at the blue section to answer where. So this will really support you to embed the colour codes and the symbols into your lessons. One piece of advice that I'd like to give here as well is to type up the questions that you are asking the pupils to give them that extra processing time, and just in case they've lost focus and attention whilst you've asked the question, they can look back here. When you are completing a shared piece of writing, as the children are talking, giving their ideas, you can colour code each part of the text. So you can ask the children to tell you what colour each section of the piece of writing you are doing together has to be. You can give children a handout where they can highlight the key elements as well. So if you've asked them to look for the character and who did what, they can highlight it in orange or shade it in orange with a coloured pencil. You can implement this strategy by doing one mystery sentence a day, so they can come back from playtime, pick up a whiteboard, a pen or some scrap piece of paper and look at the symbols and the colour codes to help them to build a sentence independently. You can make a colourful semantics treasure hunt in your classrooms by printing out large footprints and colour coding them, scattering them across the classrooms, and children can jump on each footstep to help build sentences. This is a fantastic sensory experience for children and really builds their gross motor skills. You can create a human colourful semantic sentence, so you can put them into groups of different areas that you'd like them to work on, and then when they present it to the whole class, they can read the sentence. You can try jumbling the children up as well so that you can assess their knowledge by identifying the mistakes and helping them to fix a sentence. If there's a group of children who tend to miss out key vocabulary in their writing, you can remove a child to help them to identify what they need to include to help the sentence make sense again. It's really easy to use colourful semantics when working on reading and spelling targets as well. By looking at the bottom left, children can read each box and sort them to the correct colours to identify what the princess is doing. On the right-hand side, you can see that there's symbols with no text. The children can then practice their phonics skills and implement it in their writing by looking at the symbols as a prompt. Here, the child will be working on the E and the sound. You can break down the colourful semantic strip even further. So on the left-hand side, you can see that the pupil is only expected to identify who is doing what. On the right-hand side, the child is expected to type or to write the answers on the right-hand side. So they're filling in the gaps of a sentence, still using the colour codes as a prompt. Using a laptop is really useful with colourful semantics, as you can prepare the resources and keep them on a PowerPoint presentation, for example, and the children can drag and drop the symbols in the correct areas. It supports them to build a new skill. Then they can transfer the information from the screen onto the book in front of them and add punctuation where they need to, if that's the target they'll be working on. Here's an example of what the screen can look like for a pupil. So you can insert an image into the middle there, and the pupil can look at the image and use the colour-coded symbols as a prompt to build a sentence. You can remove the image, and the child reads the text and finds the correct symbols to go with it. You can just provide the images, and the child writes down the answer below. You can also provide them with a strip in front of them that they can use to build their answers on their own. You can ask children to colour-coded text to indicate key areas, and you can ask them to change the colour of the text to indicate the key areas used in colourful semantics as well. I've created a visual representation for children to look at, which will support them to identify what you would like them to use in their writing using the colours from colourful semantics. As you can see here, I've asked the child to use 4 adjectives in their writing. They can then look at their word map, which includes adjectives, and implement it in their writing. The children can then tick through or indicate where they need help with. You can print this and laminate it and add the required targets every lesson and make changes where you need to as well. The 2 main questions that pop up when we are suggesting colourful semantics as a whole class approach are whether it's time consuming or where to find the symbols. My biggest advice would be to use the same symbol consistently across different genres and texts. On the top of your PowerPoint slide or your Words document, you'll find icons, so under Insert. You can type in the symbol that you'd want to use. If you found a symbol for waving, for example, use that same symbol in a different genre, and have it saved in your colourful semantics document online so that you can always go to the same symbol bank that you've got rather than always having to search for it. Widget is a really useful resource to use. Under Inclusion on the LGFL website, head to SEND and then SEND Resource Centre. As you scroll down on the right hand side, you'll find Widget. You can then launch the resource and type in the symbol that you are looking for. When you have found the symbol or the image that you would like to use, you can press print screen on your device and paste it to wherever you are creating your resources. You can also type in Snipping tool and follow the instructions using that application as well. A useful strategy I've used in the past when I would like children to identify specific characters in a book, for example, is find whether there is a YouTube recording of the story where someone has scanned through the images for you already. So on the left-hand side, I might want to snippet the tiger talking to the men. TES is also a useful place to find scanned copies of a book. Here's an example of the stickman and the prepared resources as well for a pupil. Tips for organisation. So some people have used coloured baskets to put the symbols into. Laminating the resources that you will reuse will really help as well. Please don't spend time laminating every single symbol, especially if you're not going to be on the text for a very long while. Using blue tack can be really useful for some children as well, to just stick it. Teaching children independence by giving them jobs and responsibilities, so you can have colour-coded tables. So the orange group that represent who can go and collect the who symbols and organise those symbols. Use elastic bands and plastic wallets as well, which will really help you to keep everything in order in your classrooms. There's a really useful Facebook page with ready-made resources for learners as well. So people have made the colourful semantic resources and shared it online for you to be able to download, so you don't need to reinvent the symbols all over again. To finish off, I just wanted to show you an example table or desk for a pupil. So as you can see here, the child has their book. Above their book, they've got their colourful semantic strip as a prompt for their writing. On the right-hand side, they've got their success criteria to support them to identify what they need to use in their writing. And on the left-hand side, they have a key vocabulary list of information that they can use to help them to build a sentence.